Okay, my friend, let me guess. You've copied the template, you followed the routine, you rebuilt the dashboard, and you tried to use the tool the right way. And 3 weeks later, you're back in the exact same chaos, but feeling like you failed something else. This is not a discipline problem, it's a fit problem. Because if your system only works when you have to become a completely different person to run it, it's not a system, it's a costume. So let's talk about why other people's systems keep breaking for you, what your workarounds are actually trying to tell you, and how to start building from your own life data instead. Let's get into it. If you're new here, welcome. If you are not, welcome back. My name is Ellen Schinke. I help multi-hyphenate founders, stressed out students, and spread thin solopreneurs that are carrying everything, build systems that actually fit their real life, so your business can run like a machine without you turning into one. And today we're answering the question of why do good systems still not work for me? And here's the thing I don't think enough people are willing to say out loud. A system can be great, but not good for you. A template can be beautiful and not fit your actual life. A workflow can be best practice, but still feel like freaking sandpaper on your nervous system, because most systems are built from someone else's assumptions, someone else's energy, someone else's schedule, someone else's team, someone else's brain, someone else's decision-making style, someone else's tolerance for admin, someone else's ability to remember where the hell they put things. And what so many of us do, especially when it comes to Notion systems, is we take that system, drop it into your business, and wonder why it doesn't magically fix the friction. But here's the thing, a template is an approximation. It is not the final answer. The real work starts when you stop asking, how do I copy this perfectly? And start asking, what does my actual life need this system to support? Which brings me to question number 2. What should I look at instead of just looking for a better tool or a better template? And here's the answer to that question. I want you to look at the thing you keep judging. And this is what I mean. That weird little workaround you do, or that little habit, that extra step you keep adding, the place where you keep breaking the official process, thing you keep doing even though you think you quote unquote shouldn't need it. Because sometimes your workaround is not the problem. It's literally the first step to the system you need to build. Here's some examples of what I mean. Do you look something up immediately because you cannot refocus yourself until that loop is closed? I literally did that in a workshop like 10 days ago. Do you keep voice noting yourself because writing from a blank page makes your brain want to evacuate the premises? Do you find the more tools you use, the more scattered you feel, so you keep condensing things down into that one go-to tool that you can rely on that is searchable for everything? Do you do movement and workouts in the morning because every time you wait until later the day, it doesn't happen? The morning's literally the only time it's reliable. Hello, me. All of these things are data. And these are all real examples of things that I do in my life that I used to think were me being a problem. Ellen, you should stay focused on the workshop that's happening instead of looking up the thing. Well, I look up the thing so I can refocus on the workshop that's happening. There's a point to it. There's a method to the madness. And here's the thing. We judge it. We shame it. We shame the workaround, but the point is not to judge the workaround. The point is to study it. You've got to ask yourself, when you do these little things, what is this trying to solve? Because the answer is actually a hell of a lot more useful than another app recommendation. Brings us to our third question. How do I know what my system actually needs? Because I find a lot of people build their system for their fantasy self. You know the one I'm talking about when I say this. The version of you with steady energy, unlimited executive function, no client emergencies, no weird Tuesday, and no random loop hijacking your brain every 45 minutes. That person does not exist. And I say that with love, okay? But here's the thing, we need to stop building systems for fantasy you. We need to build a system for the actual human running the business. The one with the real calendar, the real brain, the real capacity, the real patterns, the real friction. So instead of asking what system should I use, ask these questions instead. Where do I keep getting stuck? What do I keep interrupting myself to solve? What am I trying to remember that should be captured somewhere? What gets easier when everything else lives in one place? What routine only works when it happens at a specific time of day? For me, workouts. What platform technically works, but actually feels heavier in my day-to-day life? I'm calling a flaw that might actually be a clue. That is your system brief. It's not a pretty screenshot you see on Pinterest or Google Images. It's not the viral setup you see on YouTube or TikTok. It's not the productivity influencer's dashboard. It's your actual life. Which begs the question of how do I know the system's actually working? And here's the thing I personally care about. Does it create relief? Not does it look impressive? Not does it have all the right properties? Not could this be a cute screenshot on Pinterest? Like, who the hell cares? Does it create relief? Does it reduce the where is this tax? Does it get the decision out of my head and into a place where it can actually be managed? Does it make the next step clearer? Does it help you become faster when your brain wanders? Because let's be honest, it will wander. Does it support the way you actually move through the week? And that right there is a really important one. Because here's the thing, if a system requires you to become more linear, more consistent, more always on, and less human to use it, that is not a support system. And I'm not saying it's not going to require you to create new habits. Like when I first moved into Notion, it required me not putting things on sticky notes anymore, or at the bare minimum, taking the pile of sticky notes that had accumulated on my desk and moving that shit into Notion. That was a new habit I had to learn. But again, what I'm talking about here is it requiring you to be a fantasy version of yourself that is not practical? And if it is, that's not what we want. We are not building digital costumes here. We are building infrastructure to help you perform more sustainably. That's the whole point. This is why I can be honest about tools and platforms and even routines and habits. A platform can be great and still not be great for you. A routine can be smart and still not fit your actual day. A workflow can be best practice, but still create more drag than relief when it comes to your day-to-day. The goal is not to force yourself into the thing that quote unquote should work. The goal is to build the thing that actually holds you. All of this kind of stuff is stuff that I dive even more deeply into in my newsletter. So if you are not already a part of my newsletter, go ahead and go to coachellen.com/list and join us. I call it my Sunday CEO Diaries because it is the legit backstage pass to all of these things that I'm talking about here. You'll also be the first person to hear about all of the changes that are coming up now to my communities, to some of the new offers that I'm creating to give you a really, really simple, low cost way to support yourself in learning Notion. I think of it like it's you and I chatting at the kitchen island. So with that being said, what's the final thing I want you to think about? And that is, what should you do after watching this video? First thing, do not go rebuild your entire system. Please do not do that. That is how we end up with a 19-tab Notion renovation and no actual progress. Start with one workaround, one thing you keep judging, one repeated point of friction, one place where your brain keeps saying absolutely not, babe. And then once you've identified that workaround, I want you to ask yourself 3 specific questions. 1, what problem is this workaround solving? Because best believe it is solving a problem. What does it tell me about how I actually work? What would it look like to build around this instead of fighting it? That is the move, because we keep thinking around about these workarounds and these things as things that we need to eliminate, problems with us, but that's not the case. These workarounds are clues. It might be showing you where information needs to live, where a decision needs to be removed, where a tool is creating drag for you, or where your business is asking your brain to carry too much. And when you build from that place where you are learning from and being informed by the data of your freaking life, your systems stop being productivity cosplay and start becoming actual infrastructure. So now you know why copying somebody else's system generally doesn't work. And it's not because you're inconsistent. It's not because you need a prettier dashboard. I love me a pretty dashboard. It's not because you've not found the perfect productivity app that's gonna make you a brand new person by Tuesday. It's because your system has to be built from your actual life, your habits, your patterns, your friction, your workarounds, your capacity, and your brain. The system, frankly, is not the point. The self-awareness is. Again, if you want a more personal, more in-depth and behind the scenes version of exactly what we talked about in this video, go ahead and head to coachellen.com/list, join my email list, the Sunday CEO Diaries, or join my community. That link is below, and in this upcoming newsletter, I'm gonna be sharing the behind the scenes strategy, what I'm rethinking in my own business, and the system lessons that start as messy as real life before they get neatly packaged into a pretty little tutorial. And if this helped you, send it to a friend who keeps blaming themselves for systems that were never built for their brain. So with that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like this. Check out the links below. And with that, I will talk to you next time. Bye.